Some years ago, these were the days before smartphones and Google apps and all those sort of things. I had to go to a church meeting in another part of southwestern Sydney. It was an area that was kind of recently developed, I guess, new infrastructure and highways and so forth. I didn't know my way around, so I checked the maps before I went, made some notes, and off I went. It was in daylight, no problems getting there. When it came time to come home, it was dark. I thought I'd kind of pictured some landmarks along the way that I could pick out, but everything looked different in the dark, and I was going in the opposite direction. I knew that I had to travel along this particular road, and I'd have to turn left reasonably soon. It was a bit along, but not too far. Anyway, I'm zooming along, and there's a major road on the left, but it was too soon. It was too soon, and it didn't look quite right, so I kept going. And I realised I was heading in the wrong direction, but I wasn't sure where I was heading. And I didn't know, I knew I needed to go in that direction, but where, which one, which street? There weren't too many main roads. Finally I came to one and I took it. And I tried to stop and on the side and look at a map, but it was dark, the cabin light wasn't bright enough, I didn't have any reading glasses, and I couldn't read the map. I didn't know what to do. I knew I needed to head more in that direction, so I kept going. And I kept looking for signs that would point me in the right direction, signs that would lead me to places I knew. But all I could see was signs to places I either didn't know or places I didn't want to go. I kept going until I did find a sign that pointed closer to where I wanted to go. And then I found another one that pointed me closer again, and I gradually followed these signs until I found a place that I knew and could find my way home quite easily. Other times I've been driving along, happily going along on this road, and suddenly, where am I? Where am I going to? I'm lost. Where am I heading? Something happens and I suddenly realise, whoops, I don't know where I'm going. This is not where I thought I was destined to go. That's a lot like life. In our lives we journey along. We're walking, journeying along the path. The path that maybe seems right, the path that's expected of us, the path of expectation, demand, the path that everyone else is taking, the crowd is walking that way, the path that the messages and the voices of the world around us keep telling us to go along. It's the path that we know. Sometimes we feel we're lost. I'm on this path, but is it going to get me where I think I want to go? Or I'm driving along and suddenly I realise I'm not even sure where this path now leads. And something happens in our lives, something that makes us stop, and it could be grief. Someone close to us dies and suddenly all of life changes. And what we were sure about and certain about before is questioned, or maybe there's a significant event or something that breaks into our life that causes us to question where we are and what we're doing and what this journey we're on is all about. There's a story of a couple that went to the theatre, and they're down near the front and they're watching a musical production of The Man of La Mancha, and they're really getting into it, and suddenly the husband is slightly distracted by the woman next to him, who's leaning over her husband on the other side and saying, shh, shh, quiet, you're embarrassing me, shh, shh, really quietly. He just picked it up and he just subtly leaned forward and glanced around. And he saw this man just sitting there sobbing. It was quiet sobs, but the tears were rolling down his face. And he looked back up on the stage, and suddenly on the stage the actor's singing, to dream the impossible dream, to fight the infightable foe, to go into those unreachable places, to dream the impossible dream. And suddenly it made sense. This fellow suddenly realised he's lost his dreams. He had dreams and he had hopes, but they're gone. Somewhere along the way, they've been lost. And he doesn't know where he is. There's so much of our lives, or so many people in our lives are like that. We have these moments where suddenly, what am I doing? What's it all about? What is this life? Where am I headed? What am I doing? Why am I doing this? This week, in one of the stories we read, it's Luke's story of his second story called Acts of the Apostles. It's the story of the early church and the missionary movement, particularly of Paul. And this one is Paul travelling through Asia Minor. And he's following this passion and this dream. And he's teaching and sharing hope and life and this transformative experience that he's had. But he knows he's been called to somewhere, and he doesn't know where. And he looks here and he looks there, and he keeps walking or journeying forward. And finally, he finds himself in a town called Troas. It's in Turkey, and before him is water. He can't go any further forward. And he's not sure, do I go left, do I go right, do I turn around and go back? Have I missed my turn off? Have I missed where I should be? And that night, when he goes to sleep, he sleeps on it. In the midst of the night, he has a dream. And in this dream, there's a man standing on another beach, calling out to him, Paul, come and share your story, your message, your love with us. Come and share what you have with us in Macedonia. And Paul wakes up in the morning, and the dream is vivid in his mind, and he knows that this is one of those signs, the sign that he's been looking for, the voice, the inner voice of the Spirit, the voice of love, the voice that's been guiding him, that he's been trying to listen out for. And so he and his companions get into a boat, and they travel 2 days across the water, then across land to Philippi, the capital of the region. And he looks out for this man in his dreams, and he can't find him in the marketplaces, or on the Sabbath he goes to the synagogue where the Jewish people gather. There are no men, there are only women. And he sits with them and he shares his story, this story of hope, of life, of love. And one of them, Lydia, says, can I be baptised? Me and my family? In fact, I've got a big house. Where are you all staying, you and your companions? If it seems proper to you and okay, would you come and allow me to offer you hospitality? Would you like to come and stay in my house? And Paul does. And then begins the story of the church of Philippi. It's beginning. This is where he's called to be. This is where his destination is for now. And it came to him in a dream. It came to him in a voice, the voice of love, that quiet, gentle voice that was guiding him. Not the big voices of the world around him pulling him in this direction or that direction, but this inner voice of love that's quiet, gentle. What are the voices that we might hear? What is the way that we're called to? What is the journey we're on, and what is the destination we're looking for? In another story from John's story of Jesus, Jesus is with his disciples the night before he dies on the cross. And he shares with them the deepest moments, and he speaks of him going to be with his Father, but returning and coming to them in a new way. The Spirit is going to be released into the world. This Spirit, this Comforter, will nurture and guide them. And God will be with them, and God will make God's home in their hearts, in their lives, in a new way. And Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to this Father, this God, but by me. And in that he's saying, my way is the way. Listen for my voice, for my love. Listen for my spirit in you. And you'll find the signs of the way into deeper life. Travel with me. Take steps with me. And you'll find your way. And then he says to them, peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you, not as the world gives to you. Don't let your hearts be troubled, and neither let them be afraid. Listen to this voice of love. Trust in this voice of love. Don't trust the voice of fear, or don't listen to the voice of fear. Don't be the voices of anxiety and uncertainty. Listen to me and follow where I lead, and you'll find your life. And that's what Paul seemed to do, the man of dreams and of passion, listening to this voice of the Spirit and being guided in the way that he was to go. Jesus follows his voice, this one, and invites us to walk with him on the way. How about you? Do you know where you're going? Do you know what life you're living? Do you know where you're destined to be? Do you have your hopes and your dreams, or have they been left behind? This way of Jesus invites us into a life of flourishing, a life to be more fully and truly who we can be and we're called to be, so that we can be the best that we can be and offer that to the world. That's the way of Jesus. Amen.